And what stood out for you when you were covering Biwott?
Interestingly, I must say it's actually a sad afternoon for this country, losing one of the most towering political figures, despite his petite stature. Mr. Biwott was a man who, when the annals of history are written in this country, will go down as one man who had a lot of political influence, and especially had the ear of the second president of this republic, President Daniel Arap Moi. So I covered Nicholas Biwott a lot in my last career spanning almost 15 years as a journalist, yes. Both in this country, and I had an opportunity also to travel with him out of this country at some point when he was the Minister for Trade, Industry, and tourism. Actually, he was that powerful figure that he managed to combine almost 3 ministries in one, and carried his duties very diligently. So he's one man I want to believe that he's a big loss, not only to the people of Keio South, but also to the country.
Now, Lillian, he had a title, he was known as Total Man. What informed that title?
The title, Total Man, it's a very interesting anecdotal story that came, I think, in the 1980s, when Kenyans traveled during the foreign travels out of the country. And specifically, when during the negotiations, Mr. Biwott was always out there. They say they're very interesting stories that are more romanticized. But apart from that, his ability to be able to stand and command political authority in this country pretty much earned him the title Total Man. That he towered beyond just the political realms, but also went beyond to the economic and social advisory, especially, if you want to call it.
And of course, he was responsible for pulling, of course, the strings in President Moi's regime.
Exactly.
And perhaps, Lillian, he has served in various cabinet portfolios, and he had this special relationship with President Moi. Was it because they come from Rift Valley, or it was much more of a personal kind of friendship, personal kind of bond?
I think with Mr. Biwott, it was a personal story. Biwott was one of the key, very loyal members of KANU. Remember, even when after President Moi exited from the scene, Nicholas Biwott remained very loyal to KANU. He actually contested for the leadership of KANU until, of course, he lost to the younger Moi generation. But he went on. Of course, he lost his seat in the 2002 opposition wave. And still, he went ahead to form a different political party called New Vision Party. So he pretty much remained active and loyal. A lot of people say, remember, he was also a man, with deep economic means, and therefore, in a lot of ways, the nature of politics, especially in the 80s and the 90s, that such people, also commanded the respect of the party, that apart from just the political influence, he also had the deep pocket, and therefore, in a way, bankrolled the party and the party activities. And so,
clearly, Lillian, you have a lot to tell us. Of course, I'll come to you once more. But for now, let's cross over to Eldoret, where reporter Elvis Kosgei is on standby for us. He is at the residence of the late Nicholas Biwott. Now, Elvis, if you could hear me, what is the situation like on the ground?
Okay, right now, the news filtering in this county is that the former long-serving cabinet minister, Nicholas Biwott, is normal, but it's something that to be.
Of course, we have a problem with the audio there, but we're going to join Elvis once he sorts that out. But Lillian, let me come back to you once again. This is a man I've been watching him on television most of the time during the Moi's time. Of course, we're privileged to have traveled with him and reported a lot about him. But the picture we get of Biwott, is this no-nonsense man, is very mysterious at the same time. He used to protect a lot when it comes to his family matters. Can you please give us the other side of Biwott that we've never seen?
As a journalist, I must say, the public perception out there was that Nicholas Biwott was a man shrouded in mystery. I have very interesting personal stories that have personal experiences that I think I've shared with him. One, especially because of the controversy that he attracted. Remember, he was adversely mentioned during the death, the 1990 death of the then former also Minister for Foreign Affairs, Robert Ouko.
Yes.
And then later on, of course, he was also, in a way, mentioned in several other scandals. But there really was nothing that you could ever pinpoint directly to him. So he remained a very aloof character. He was a guy who was very, was really, really obsessed with his own security. Actually, those who know him actually say that he traveled in different cars. I have a personal experience. When we worked at Nyayo House at KTN,
Yes.
his office was directly opposite us at the Teleposta Towers. And one day I remember leaving the office at 10 p.m. in the night, and I see this car driving out of the basement of Teleposta. And who comes out of it? It's the small man and the security running around, and right outside the outside the exit of Teleposta, he gets into a different vehicle that would probably, transport him to the nearest place where another vehicle would wait. So he was that kind of guy with deeply mysterious, deeply obsessed with his own personal security, and even in his own home in KU. I remember there's a time that we were traveling to cover some features in KU.
Yes.
And we asked around when we got to KU, and what the residents could tell us was, we asked, where is Honorable Biwott's home? And the best they can tell you is, in between those woods,
Somewhere there is his house.
Somewhere in there is his house, but you can never really trace the house. So he was a guy who remained extremely mysterious for possibly obvious reasons, because of the kind of character that he was. But I'm sure deep within, he was also a very caring person. He was feared a lot, I must say.
Yeah.
But Nicholas Biwott himself, I think, did not look at himself as this figure that was above, this towering political figure that almost near to a god.
But there are those who describe him as the poster boy of Moi's regime.
Not just the poster boy of Moi's regime, but he wielded the power.
Yes.
A lot of people say that most of the decisions actually could have been made by Nicholas Biwott.
During Moi's time.
During Moi's time. So then he had the blessing, he had the president's ear, so to speak.
Lillian, speaking about the mystery surrounding his life, we still don't know what caused his death. We don't know he suffered from what. We normally get information that he has been admitted to hospital. He's been in and out of hospital. So perhaps can you pinpoint to maybe what he was suffering from?
As mysterious as Mr. Biwott was, interestingly, he remains mysterious up to his death. There has been no public knowledge, either from the family or his personal doctors, about exactly what Mr. Biwott was ailing from. All we saw in the public is that the one strong man, kept on getting frail as the
Age
time
was also a
went
big
by,
factor.
and age was also a big factor.
Yeah.
Not really a big factor. He's only 77. A lot of 77-year-olds are probably still very strong.
Yes.
So there's remained a lot of speculation that possibly he could have been suffering from
Lillian,
a cancer.
I'll come back to you once again. But for now, let's cross over live to Eldoret, where Elvis Kosgei is on standby.